Friday broadcast, and it's Fun Question Friday. Who doesn't love theming the days, right? Fun Question Friday. What do you guys want to do for Fun Question Friday? Never mind, there's no user input. I'm going to give you Fun Question Friday because it's been delivered into our lap yesterday. This came out literally just a day ago as we cover it. Can men get pregnant? I mean, it's a pretty good question.
Do you think that men can get pregnant?
I hesitated there because I wasn't sure where the conversation was going or what the goal was. I mean, I do take care of patients with different identities. I take care of many women. I take care of people with different identities. And so that's where I paused. I think, I wasn't sure.
Dr. Nisha Verma, if you guys are unfamiliar with this, and she is an obstetrician gynecologist and a fellow with the Physicians for Reproductive Health. And she's being asked relatively, I would imagine, a simple question for someone who's pretty science-based. They're not really involved in what the emotions are around this. It's more so just the straight line facts. She's being a little more... She's being a little more fun with her words than I would expect her to be. Because listen, if you're a doctor, I feel as though the answer should be pretty simple. Look, there are people that may suffer from what we would used to term gender dysphoria, who may feel as though they exist in their wrong body, and those people are what we used to call transsexuals, where they would dress up as the opposite sex and attempt to live as such. And we had a term for that. That was a trans person. That's what our understanding of it was. It was diagnosable. We've known about it for all of history. We understand it. And I understand that there is a wanted need to, like, there are some people that will authentically identify. Like, do you think Caitlyn Jenner is not authentic in her current life form? I'm going to be honest with you. It might have been a mistake. Like, I love Bruce. I kind of miss Bruce in all honesty. But, like, I'm not saying that Caitlyn has to go back to not being Caitlyn. I'm saying I'll call her Caitlyn. I'll even call her her. But she's not a real woman. And I don't feel like that's very hard to say. As like a liberal-minded person, I go, sure, you want to live as a woman, you want to live however you want to live and let live. I don't feel as though it's going to extend to like, oh, you want to change information on your certificates? Well, I don't know about that. Oh, you want certain protections because of your identified gender? Oh, I don't know that that's going to work. You know what I mean? There's certain angles of it where it's like, okay, there's a layer between you are allowed to practice your own. You're allowed to smoke if you want. You're not allowed to smoke in a bar anymore. We've determined that every person has a right to not be exposed to your smoking, your wanting to do that in their presence. So I guess it's pretty fair to say like, oh, sure, go out and go to a restaurant, be trans, live your life as you want to trans, but expect the pushback when you follow a mother and her child into the women's restroom and maybe get a little bit of flack. Like, all I'm saying is there's layers of reality that no one really wants to get honest about. Like, it's fun. I think that we have to respect and protect certain identities, but I think the level of like hoobie-doobie that a lot of people do around this, where they're like, no, trans men are men and trans women are women. Dylan Mulvaney is just as good a woman as he ever could have been, even though he spent the majority of his life a performative gay male, and no one really likes to talk about it. And now he apparently has a girlfriend and is looking to get pregnant, but he is going to be the one to get, according to him, he wants the uterus or something along those lines. It's like, whew, I live how you wanna, but when you publicize it, people are going to put in their opinions, unfortunately. I think that this is one of those sillier moments. I think Josh Hawley, if you're not familiar with this Republican from Missouri, he's known for these gotcha moments, but admittedly, as a certified physician, as a person who's practicing medicine, this should not be as difficult a question as it is for her. She should be able to just lay out the facts. Look, there's trans identifying people. It doesn't factor into how I treat them as like, oh, you were born a man, so I'm going to treat you a man. Men cannot get pregnant. That shouldn't be a hard question for anybody to answer.
The goal is just the truth. So can men get pregnant?
Again, the reason I paused there is I'm not really sure what the goal of the question.
The goal is just to establish a biological reality. You just said a moment ago that science and evidence should control, not politics. Absolutely. So let's just test that proposition. Can men get pregnant?
I take care of people with many identities, but
can men get pregnant?
There are many women that can get pregnant. I do take care of people that don't identify as women.
Can men get pregnant?
Again, as I'm saying,
Let me just remind you, you testified to a moment ago. Science and
Say that there are people who suffer from gender dysphoria, but absolutely scientifically speaking, biological men cannot get pregnant.
evidence
It's not
should control,
hard.
not politics. So, can men get pregnant? You're a
totally
doctor, I
agree.
think.
Science and evidence should guide medicine.
Do science and evidence tell us that men can get pregnant? Biological men, can they get pregnant?
I also think yes/no questions like this are a political tool. And
No, yes/no questions are about the truth, doctor. Let's not make a mockery of this proceeding. This is about science and evidence, and I'm asking.
By the way, decent-minded liberals are looking at this girl and they're like, come on, you're making us look horrible. You're making left-minded people look ridiculous and silly. You're making it look as though they cannot just recognize basic facts of reality. Us sitting in this room, us watching this clip, who has a tallywhacker and who doesn't? That's kind of the question.
You know, the United States Supreme Court just heard arguments yesterday at great length on this question. This is not a hypothetical question. This is not theoretical. It affects real people in their real lives. And you're here as an expert, called by the other side as an expert, and you've been telling us that you follow, right, you're a doctor, and you follow the science and the evidence. So I just want to know, based on the science, can men get pregnant? That's a yes or no question. It really is, I think.
I think you're trying to reduce the complexity of the law.
I'm not. I'm trying to get, it's not complex. I'm trying to get to an answer, and I'm trying to test, frankly, your veracity as a medical professional and as a scientist. Can men get pregnant?
I think you're also conflating
This is
male
extraordinary.
female with...
No, I'm not conflating male and female. They're two different things. There's biological men and there's biological women. And I want to know, can men get pregnant?
What you were talking about is biological...
You're not going to answer my question.
Biological males.
This isn't hard, doctor. Can men get pregnant?
Stop endangering. I know that she's not a political person. I love Anthony Fauci's quote, "I'm not a political person." Politically charged, policy, regardless. But I'm just saying, I know she's not politically minded. She's not going, I'm trying to make the left side look good here. I know that she's not minded like that, but she is actively. They should have screened her before to see if she would have been able to just level with people and not play semantics games. That's not what I think. That is not going to go over well with the American people, who generally take things in like 30-second clips. You know what I mean? If you need to be, it's more of a gender identity is less of what you experience. It's like with your genitals. It's more about a constellation of your role in society and the role you play in your relationships. It's not. It's you can have whatever interpretations you want on your identity, on your anything personally. It cannot extend to the point, though, where it begins to affect other people's lives. Otherwise, you're endangering our chances at the midterms. I know that a blue wave is looking like maybe it may happen because of the immigration stuff, and we're looking at how it's turning over in the polls. The 40% approval rating for Trump that just dropped. I think that if we can't just get down reality, like force it down the throats of a few of our left-wing friends, if we can't just get them to be a little more real time with Bill Maher instead of fucking, what's it called, propaganda hour with whoever, I think that we'd have such better chances. We'd have such better chances of at least leveling things out.
Yes or no?
I would be more than happy to have a conversation with you that is not coming from a place of trying to be polarized and push.
I'm not trying to be polarizing. I'm trying to ask. I think it is extraordinary that we are here in a hearing about science and about women. And for the record, it's women who get pregnant, not men. We are here about the safety of women and science that shows that this abortion drug causes adverse health events
11% of the time.
11% of cases. That's 22 times greater than the FDA label, another fact you haven't acknowledged, and yet you won't even acknowledge the basic reality that biological men don't get pregnant. There's a difference between biological men and biological women. I don't know how we can take you seriously and your claims to be a person of science if you won't level with this on this basic issue. I thought we were past all of this, frankly. I
thought so too.
We're still here talking about this.
I am a person of science, and I'm also someone here who's here to represent the complex experiences of my patients, and I don't think polarized language
it's not polarized
serve that goal. I don't think they serve the American people.
It is not polarizing to say that there is a scientific difference between men and women, and I want this to be clear and for the record. It is not polarizing to say that women are a biological reality and should be treated and protected as such.
1,000%.
That is not polarizing. That is truth. It is also, by the way, the United States Constitution, which offers unique protections to women in a variety of circumstances.
Very much
as
so.
Women.
Very, 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 very much so. And if you cannot admit that, if you personally are a woman going, what are you talking about? We don't have specific protections. I'd love to talk to you after a draft were to incur and you were not to be asked to lay down anything. However, I would have been if I was born during that time. I seen the clip on TV. July 8th, my birthday, was like the 13th number picked. So I would have been shipped. And then guess what? My female confidants, my fellow female students during school, this would have been like high school or whatever, draft age. They wouldn't have had to go. They wouldn't have had to do anything. They would have been considered the ones that can stay home. Because why? Because of their gender. So I understand that some people may go, no, sexism. Yeah, sure. Sexism exists. Misogyny exists. Misandry exists. All of it does. But it's not systematic. As a matter of fact, it's systematically stacked in your favor at this point. Do you want to talk about reality? Let's talk alimony.
And your refusal to recognize women as women and men as men is deeply corrosive to science, to public trust, and yes, to constitutional protections for women as women. And I think it's extraordinary that you would sit here and advance a political agenda that has been thoroughly discredited and rejected by the American people in this forum. And I'm glad we had this exchange because it is exceptionally clarifying.
Very, very much so.